India is on alert for the El Nino impact, with a weak southwest monsoon, reduced rainfall and increasing pressure on farm output. Crops such as rice, maize, pulses and oilseeds are particularly vulnerable, with lower yields hurting rural incomes and potentially fueling food inflation. The impact was visible during the 2015 El Nino, when maize production fell by 4% and rice output declined by 1%, tightening rice supplies from one of the world's largest producers. But experts suggest India is better prepared today. More than half of the country's cropped area is now irrigated. The RBI has also noted that farm production is now less sensitive to weather fluctuations than in the past, offering a stronger buffer against El Nino-related shocks. But what really is the reality? What really India must do? How should it better insulate itself? I'm being joined by Dr. Roxy Matthew Cole, who's a climate scientist with the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, as well as Avinash Mohanty, who's a global sector head and climate change and sustainability with CCS IP Global. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining me. Well, let me start straight with you, Dr. Roxy Matthew Cole. A first question, there's this alert from multiple organizations. You've had alert from Japan, you've had alert from FAO now, you've had multiple alerts for India. Last time when we spoke, you were mentioning about how crops and cultivation in certain regions of India are already hit. How would you explain what are we really looking at when we talk about the super El Nino impact on India?
Yeah, Sneha, it's good to see the interest in the public and you in terms of El Nino and its impact on the monsoon. And what we are seeing is a very bad stage for the monsoon, at least if you consider the deficit this month so far. 15, 16 days have passed and we are running at a 30% rainfall deficit pan-India, if you consider pan-India. And part of this, a large reason for this is the fast developing El Nino. So we have seen El Ninos in the past as well, but this is an El Nino which is already in place in June itself, early June itself. So generally the El Nino starts evolving by June, July, and then peaks by winter, where it is, where in the Pacific, the sea surface temperature anomalies are up to 1 degree Celsius or something. But now already we have these sea surface temperature anomalies in the Pacific in place in such a way that it's already affecting the monsoon winds. So the monsoon winds are weak. We saw a very weak pulse and progression in terms of the monsoon across India. So, and what the forecast, IMD forecast so far show is that we may not get an organized monsoon rains until probably by until the end of the month. So that is what we are, that's kind of scenario we are facing so far.
Avinash Mohanty, break this down for us, and we are talking about weak monsoon. If it's anywhere between 34% to 40%, some have estimated as 60%. Is this also is there also a possibility that this may get covered up in course of time when we talk really about the monsoon? Is this also something that could be part of the normal rain spread, as it were? I think we have some technical issue with Avinash. Roxy, do you want to explain this?
Yeah. So, can you repeat the question?
Sure. So, Roxy, is there a possibility that when you're talking about a 34% decline or a deficit in rainfall, this could also, will this worsen in the days to come, particularly in July, or is there a chance that this can be, this can go the normal way?
So monsoon working pulse is what we call as the monsoon intra-seasonal oscillation. So it's like a pulse of clouds coming from the Indian Ocean along with the winds. And then, so we call that the active or the wet phase of the monsoon. So this should have been the ideal wet phase of the monsoon with the, once it started the onset, and it should have progressed further north.
I see.
But that pulse have kind of declined. It was not strong enough. Now, the thing is, we have to wait for the next pulse. That next pulse of monsoon intra-seasonal oscillation, we do not see until at least the end of this month. Maybe by June 28th, 29th or something, we might see the next pulse of monsoon intra-seasonal oscillation, which could revive the monsoon. we would wait for the forecast by then. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So there is a possibility this can go either way. This can worsen, or
Yeah.
this can be
Yeah, if
revived.
if you get a good pulse of the monsoon rains, after that, definitely it can revive. But still, overall for the monsoon season, we should expect a weak monsoon. So we should be well prepared for that.
Right. Okay, let me stick on with you, Mr. Roxy, because we seem to be playing catch and catch with Mr. Avinash. There seems to be some signal issues from his end. So, to just stick with this entire issue, when we are talking about, you spoke about the Marathwada region last time and about how certain crops have been impacted. Now, RBI says that India is much better placed when it comes to dependency on monsoon. There's 54% as compared to, I think, 44% earlier in terms of the irrigated area for cropping, as it were.
Right.
Practically, what does this mean? I mean, are we really better insulated to erratic monsoons? It doesn't look to
So
me, but you would know
yeah, so
better.
this has been quoted for quite some time that as a nation our irrigation has bettered, so we have better means for keeping our crops in a safe zone, even the monsoon fails. But we have to know that even though 50% of 50% or plus of those crops are irrigated, the other 50% or close to 50% is still rain-fed agriculture, which depends on the rains from the monsoon. And not
Right.
only that, even the 50% of the irrigation, where does that water come from? This water comes from the reservoirs and lakes and other water sources and groundwater. So if the monsoon is weak and it kind of percolates into the groundwater and the reservoirs, it will definitely reflect in several tens of percentage of deficit in reservoirs and water sources.
Right.
Then we may not have sufficient water for irrigation. We might need to, like what we saw some years back, we might need to send tankers from one state to another state or one district to another district. So uh, if I think what we should do is we should plan now itself for the
Okay.
worst case scenario.
Okay. Okay, Avinash Mohanty, we seem to have been playing catch and catch. Whenever I was trying to come, you
Hi,
were just
Avinash.
running away. But that's just jokes apart. Let me just ask you a very simple question. Reservoirs in India are better capacitated have a better capacity today, are better, they have better reserves when you compare it to a 10-year average. Break this down for us. I mean, many times data has to be seen in context. Does this make any headway? I mean, when we say that we are better insulated to weak monsoon, it's not just about farms, it's also about drinking water, it's about necessities of several kinds. So when we say we are better equipped with our reservoirs, we have better we have better water levels than 10-year average. Really, does that translate into reality?
Good evening and hello, Roxy. Again, well, first, I mean, you hit the nail with that question, Shreya, in terms of all of these El Nino discussions which are going on is not just a agricultural discussion. It is more of a discussion which has to happen on lives, livelihood, economies, and infrastructures, right? Let's try to break it down. In terms of livelihoods, what El Nino is going to do, Roxy told about, kind of spoke at large about the science part of it, but I'm going to touch upon the socio-economic part of it, right? What is this El Nino impact is going to happen is our extreme events are going to be more harsher, glimmer, and grimmer, right? That's first thing. Second thing is, what does it mean? That means we're going to witness more and more of incessant erratic rainfalls and then long spells of dry seasons. As a result, what would happen is the thermal comfort levels are going to come are not going to reach the levels, then it is going to make our productivities come down. Not just agricultural productivity. To an extent, we are ready with the agricultural productivity part, climate proof. But what happens to our gig workers? What happens to our construction, manufacturing, to kind of our larger exposure, right? Then comes the question of our security in terms of energy. If our thermal comforts level are going to come down, we already have an extended summer, right? And Roxy and I, we always have that conversation in terms of summer seasons getting extended largely. It's no more a April, May, June story. It is a June, July, August, September story where all of these heat gets aggravated and the cyclonic disturbances lead into in terms of having more and more of incessant erratic rainfalls. So our energy demands are also going to increase, and as a result, on a West Asia crisis kind of situation when we are dependent on the larger crude oils, this is going to become a larger economic question than that of climate question. Number one. Number two part is our reservoirs have a lot of water, but our water distribution, because India is a very diverse country, and at the same time, the distribution networks are going to be impacted largely. What Roxy was mentioning, that you need to have tankers going from one state to the other or one district to the other. Let's try to break it down between what villages are going to find the risk of not having proper drinking water or not being able to generate livelihoods, because we are an aspiring country where we all are striving in terms of from tier 3 to tier 2, tier 2 to tier 1. That's what is our aspiration. As a country, we are moving and we are very young. So all of these aspirations need to be kind of interlinked with what we are observing today. And that's where the question comes down. It's not just a monsoon question, it is rather a developmental question where how much of Atmanirbharta is literally there in terms of achieving that 5 trillion economy. And that's where the question comes down. But El Nino, yes, we are better prepared, but what we are not prepared is India is aspiring to leave, is becoming more and more urbanized, and our cities are not prepared for such kind of a super El Nino, because we are going to have more harsher, grimmer, incessant erratic urban flooding happening. You're going to have more heat wave days coming in, right? And hence, as a result, what is going to happen is if you have planned to go back to your home after this show, Shreya, you're going to get stuck in the traffic. And if you are there, then we are a country of 120 billion. So you can do the opportunity cost, and the maths are very simple in terms of doing that.
Right. I mean, I had so many more questions to ask, and I'm very sure that we will be having our discussion on this very soon again, because there are so many other aspects. Like you spoke about livelihood, there's about heat. This summer has been so grilling even in the national capital region, and it was not even the peak of summer, and everybody was talking about heat traps and about how our urban cities were made, designed to collapse, as it were, and possibly El Nino has a whole lot of impact on all of them as well, in how we live, how we look at our surroundings, from food inflation to what we eat, how we eat, what we buy. So many more interconnections, and I think people are more aware, people want to know more, and I think that only will push us as a country to act faster and better. We obviously are also later. We're already late on it, but better, better to put our act together as soon as we can. Thank you very much, both of you. Abhinash Mohanty, thank you very much, Roxy Matthew Call, for joining us.